In this video, we're going to talk about Lambda, and you will learn what is Lambda and the syntax of Lambda, and also why we use Lambda in Python. And also at the end of this session, we will actually use Lambda with some functions such as map, filter, and sort. If you want to learn more about Python and other programming languages, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. It will be a great support. Let's begin. So, what is Lambda? Lambda is a small anonymous function, and it is actually like other functions and that we talked about in previous sessions that we defined with def keyword. They are the same, but when we use def keyword, we actually specify a name for a function. But if you want to actually create an anonymous function, you use Lambda. Lambda function can take any number of arguments, but it can actually have only one expression. Let's see the syntax of Lambda. Well, when you want to create actually a Lambda function, you use Lambda keyword, and actually next to Lambda keyword we use arguments, okay, and use colon, and after that use expression. Okay, this is the syntax of Lambda. Let me comment it, and I'm gonna actually make an example here to see how Lambda works. Okay, I want to define a variable like x equals to Lambda, and we want an argument, for example a, use colon, and here we need an expression. I want to define a function that add, for example, 10 to a number. Okay, so I use a, the arguments plus 10. Okay, this way actually 10 is added to our variable, our argument. Okay, and let me use this anonymous function. As you see here, there is no name for our function. So here I use print, and here x I use between parentheses, for example 1, and I expect that 11 to be returned. Okay, so as you see here, 11 is returned. So in here I assigned a function to a variable, and I use that to print the output. Let's add some arguments to see that it can actually accept so many arguments as you want, but it actually returns just one value. So in here I use, for example, a and b, and for example c, and I want to add them together, and in here instead of 10 I use plus b and plus c. Okay, and in here I have to pass 3 arguments in here, one for example and 10 and sorry, okay, 1, 10, and for example 20, and I expect 31 to be printed. So as you see here, you can use as many as arguments as you want, but you have to bear in mind that it will return just one value. You can also use Lambda function with if condition. For example, I want to actually define a function that separate odd and even numbers. Okay, let me define a function. For example, in here x equals to Lambda, and it actually takes one argument, like for example a, and colon here, and here we need expression. I want to say, for example, even. Okay, and I use if. Okay, in here I'm gonna use short if. Okay, one line if statement. Okay, if you actually are not familiar with this kind of condition, I highly recommend you to watch my previous videos that I talked about if statements. So in here I take a, and I wanna calculate the remaining of actually a and 2. Okay, so if it is equal to 0, and it actually returns even, and else here it returns odd. Okay, so, and if I print, okay, and x, I have to use parentheses, and inside these parentheses I have to pass a number to see whether that number is odd or even. So I'm gonna pass 5, for example. I expect the odd to be printed. So as you see here, our function is working. Let's try an even number, for example 2. Okay, this is even, and as you see here, you can use if condition with lambda function. So we talked about lambda function and how we can create a function by using lambda, but actually those functions that we used, we can also create them by using def keyword and create a function like before. But why we use lambda? Well, the power of lambda is shown when you use them as an anonymous function inside another function. For example, you use that inside, for example, sort function or filter, map, or other built-in functions. You can also create your own function and use lambda function as anonymous function inside your own function. Now I want to create my own function and use lambda function inside my function as an anonymous function. I want to define a function that actually returns triple the number that I pass to that function. Okay, so let's define that function. For example, I use def here and my function. Okay, and I have to pass, for example, a here as argument, and inside that function I want to return lambda. Okay, and in here I use x colon x multiply to a. Okay, and if I, for example, here define a variable like my lambda, or let's make it more meaningful. For example, I want to return triple the number, so I use my triple. Okay, equals to here I have to call my function. Okay, I pass for example 3 here, so a equals to 3, and whatever is x here, it will be multiplied by 3 and the result will be returned. Okay, so the result of actually this expression, this lambda, will be returned to my triple, and now my triple is equal to lambda x colon x multiplied to 3. Okay, and now if I print my triple and I pass, for example, a 5 here, so 5 will be multiplied by 3 and the result will be returned. So 15 is here, and I can actually change this 3 to, for example, 2, and I expect that 5 to be doubled. Okay, so I change it to 2, so here 10 is printed. Okay, so you can use this function to double the number, triple a number, and so on. Okay, so let's use, for example, my double equals to my function, and here I pass 3, and in here if I print my double, so 5 will be multiplied by 2 here, and here multiplied by 3. As you see, 10 and 15 are printed here. Now I want to use lambda function with some built-in functions such as sorted, filter, and map, and I'm going to teach you how you can use a lambda function as anonymous function inside these functions. This is actually the most frequently used of lambda. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. First I want to define a list, okay, because I want to sort that list according to the length of the items. Okay, for example, my list here equals to I want to define some names like Alex and John and Sarah. So in here I want to define a variable like results equals to sorted. This is our function, and as the first argument I have to pass the list that I want to be sorted. So my list in here. Okay, and the second argument is the key, and actually this list is gonna be sorted according to this key. So I use key equal to, for example, len, and now I expect that a result return a list that is sorted according to the length of the items. So let's print it. Print my list. Okay, and now let's change the names because the length of the names are not actually good here, I think. And I want to change it to Cristiano, and I want to change this one to Leo, so you can see actually the changes that occur in this list after I run these lines. So if I run it, you see Cristiano. Oh, I made a mistake here. I have to print results instead of my list. Okay, as you see here, Leo is actually the first item, John is the second, and Cristiano is the third, although it was actually like this, the order of actually items, because I changed the order according to the length of the items. So in here, for example, I want to change the order according to the second character of each item. How we can do this? Okay, in here we need to use lambda that actually return the second character of each string. Okay, so in here, instead of len, in this key I use lambda, and for example x colon, and in here I have to return the second character. So the second character is actually 1 in here because it starts from 0, and if I run it, you see it is the same because of the actually here E, O and R. Okay, so as you see, the order changed also. Okay, in here the order first was like this, and now Leo is the first item. Okay, because of this E. Okay, so if I change, for example, this O to A, so you see here it actually changed because A has priority over E. Okay, according to alphabet. Now I want to use a map function. Map function actually accepts the function that is going to be applied on a list as the first argument, and the second argument is actually the list that we want to pass to that function. Okay, so in here I define my list as my list here, and I'm going to use a map. So I want to store actually the result in result variable, and I'm going to use map function. And as I told you, the first argument is going to be the function, and I'm going to use a lambda okay, and x colon. So in here I want to power each item by 2, so I use x double star and 2 here, so it actually gets every item as x here, and power it by 2 and return the value. So, and the second argument is going to be our list, so my list. Okay, and I'm going to print the result here, results. Okay, as you see here, it was 5, and the first item is now 25, and 10 is powered by 2 equal to 100, and 4 powered by 2 equal to 16. So the last function that I'm going to talk about is filter. Filter, like map, accept the function as the first argument and the list as the second argument. Okay, and in here I want to separate odd and even numbers, like actually previous examples. And in here I use lambda as the function and my list as the list that this function is going to be applied to. Okay, if I run it, you see 10 and 4 are printed. 10 and 4 are the only numbers that are even. Okay, and I want to actually return even number. Okay, if I, for example, add some numbers like 9 and 7, the result will still be the same. But if I, for example, add 20 here, the result will change, and 10, 4 and 20 are even numbers. So here is the end of this session. I hope it was useful for you. Now you are familiar with a lambda function, and you know where to use lambda function and how does a Lambda function works and also how you can define a Lambda function. If you want to learn more about Python and other programming languages, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you have any questions, leave comments. I'll reach you as soon as possible. Bye for now.